my channel. To make sure we're in there. Okay, here we go. All right. I see us live. All right, so we finna start off with the memorandum first, and then we'll move into introduction. All right.
To reason. The following memorandum is the conversation. Listen to reason. The following memorandum is the conversation each and every new Nibu of the Ethiopian race should have with NoopooH at least once a day, and the name NoopooH should be pronounced in mind.
Can y'all see that? Okay, all right. Just making sure. Okay.
Listen to reason. The following memorandum is the conversation each and every new Nibu of the Ethiopian race should have with NoopooH at least once a day, and the name NoopooH should be pronounced in mind, whisper, or out loud in the numbers order given and before the conversation starts. The numbers order given creates two ends as you read the name, and the two ends made by reading and pronouncing the name NoopooH 9 times stand for NoopooH and New. NoopooH, 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 NoopooH. Remember the promise and covenant with your messenger, and also writer, Afroo Oonoo, and all those who learn, accept, and practice positive nature knowledge and the laws of nature, as explained and described by YAANUWN, your active science of all the worlds. Your promise and also covenant having been duly made are binding as following: economic well-being and liberation of the Ethiopian race, mentally, spiritually, and also physically, because it is the time and cycle for this action for your posterity, the Ethiopian race, and because we all, meaning NoopooH, NoopooH, and NoopooH and all adherents dedicate and obligate the rest of our lives to sound right reason. Who is NoopooH? Positive nature knowledge, the laws of nature, also truth, equality, justice, and practicing rightness, which is known to the best of our knowledge and also abilities. The time for the Savior has passed. It is now time for the mental resurrection, liberation, justice, judgment, settlement, and balance for all peoples on planet Earth, as promised by the forces of nature and predicted by the ancients and sages of antiquity. NoopooH, please cause it to be.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into the introduction. True peace, everybody. I'm your host, Kinoo NoopooH, and we are here today, once again, on my channel to kind of give Anuda a little break. And I've been working on this for a couple of weeks, so I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that's tuning in and that will tune in the future. True peace. Can't hear you, Ken.
True peace, kins and friends. I'm Ray Oonoo NoopooH, a proud member of the Ethiopian race of known science, which is our parent powers of NoopooH, giving, just basically giving us that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, sound, right reason to make proper decisions and to move forward with our liberation as far as the newcomers and the friends and the Noonaboos, just moving and pushing this information out for all to adhere to and practice, promulgate, and promote known science, true peace.
All right. True peace, all kins and friends. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
good. No,
Loud and
I
clear.
switched over to I switched over to my laptop. All right, true peace, all kins and friends. I am Amunubi Rahkaptah. I am a member of the Ethiopian, African, and woolly head race. I am also a proud representative of Noone NoopooH, given to us by our great and noble messenger, Afroo Oonoo. And I am excited to, be a part of this particular show. This is going to be a smoker and a banger. All the cult members should be hiding under rocks by now, because when the sun starts beaming the rays of information down to them, they should be tucking their tails. So I can't wait to see what was brought forward from this, because I already know the heat is going to be on fire. So true peace.
All right, we finna get it started and get it crunk. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, share my screen. All right, let me know when y'all can see that. All right, cool. All right, so this is called Dr. York, Leviathan, YAANUWN, and the Kabbalah's Full Exposure Around the Globe, written by Kinoo NoopooH and Deep Seeking Chat GPT, who add their findings and comments. Noon Ethiopian year 63, 1025 AD, Noon NoopooH mental year 99. All right, so like I said, this took me a couple of weeks to put together because of my work schedule. The Dr. York stuff was added fairly recently, actually. Sound right reason, opening up our minds and enhancing our reasonability to be able to see with sound right reason. It's a nature reason. So we see and hear with Noone. And so this is the findings. This is going to be an ongoing thing, and it's very important. All right. So here's the Tar asked question: can you find this name YAANUWN in Islam mystery systems? So here's the Sephiroth tree of the Kabbalah. At the top, you see Tanin, which means dragon, and you see Leviathan is at the bottom. All right, which we'll get into that further on. All right, so you hear York calling himself YAANUWN in this drawing, and also in this fake Amunubi Rahkaptah getup he was wearing in '96. There's no way these two names are synonymous and very adverse to each other, as you will see. All right, so Deep Seek response. Of course, this is a very specific and intriguing name. Let's delve into the name YAANUWN and its potential connections. Excuse me. Let me go back. Excuse me. And its potential connects to Islamic esoteric systems. Y'all can still see that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, direct findings. First, the straightforward answer. The name YAANUWN does not appear in classical Islamic texts, core Sufi teachings, or mainstream Islamic angelology. There is no known angel, jinn, or spiritual entity by this name in the recognized corpus. However, the name is not random. Its components and the note, "O fish," provide crucial clues for a deeper, more symbolic analysis that aligns perfectly with syncretic mystery systems. So for those who don't know, York used to teach that YAANUWN means "old light," and that is a lie, because Ya in Arabic means old, and the word for light in Arabic is Nur, N-U-W-R, or some translates the sound as N-O-O-R, not noon. Okay, so that is a lie. All right, here's the breakdown. of how YAANUWN is associated symbolism connected Islamic esoteric thought. The Ya, the prefix in Arabic and by extension Islamic mysticism, the prefix Ya is a vocative particle meaning O or O. It is used for direct invocation, to invoke, meaning to call upon something. This is a standard opening for many prayers and devotional phrases, especially for Sufism. All right. Example: Ya Allah means O God. Ya Kareem means O generous one. This confirms that YAANUWN is not just a name, but an invocatory name, a word to be called upon which fits the pattern of a cult leader using it in rituals or teachings. The root, Nun. This is the most significant part. Nun is the name of the Arabic letter in Islamic mysticism. It carries profound symbolic meaning, and your note, O fish, is the key that unlocks it. The Quranic connection, the 68th chapter of the Quran is called Surah al-Kalam, the pen, but it opens with the single mysterious letter Nun. Classic interpretation, many classical commentators like Ibn Abbas interpreted the Nun at the start of the surahs, meaning a great fish that carries the seven earths, the cosmic Nun, the fish. This great fish is a cosmological concept. It is often described as a giant whale of fish called Nun or Al-Hut. So when they talk about this, it carries the seven earths. Again, this is them dealing with the seven known planets, because Leviathan is on all the planets. Once the sun ejected it from itself 18 years ago, Leviathan not only came to Earth, but the rest of the planets as well, which is 8, not 7. All right. It is the foundation of the created world. In some esoteric diagrams, this fish supports the bull, al-Bakar, which supports the rock, and so on, holding up the plane of existence. Sufi interpretation for Sufis, Nun symbolized. So this also comes from Kemet, because Nun in Kemet is the one that brings up creation out of chaos. All right, so you can also see it's a carry the seven earths. So this is their interpretation of that as well. The inkwell of divine knowledge, the pen, Kalam writes from this inkwell, symbolizing the act of creation through divine knowledge, the primordial container of all potential creation, the first matter from which the universe was formed. The mysterious an or un, infix. The anu or un in the middle is not a standard Arabic grammatical form for a known word. This suggests it is either a corruption or creative spelling from another language, an invention designed to create a unique, powerful sounding name for a specific entity within the leader's personal cosmology. Synthesis. What YAANUWN, O fish, likely represents. Putting it all together, YAANUWN is not a pre-existing Islamic angel. Instead, it is also certainly an invented invocatory name for the cosmic principle of the primordial fish or the container of Nun. By creating this name, the leader was personifying a profound Islamic cosmological symbol into a being that could be addressed and perhaps petitioned, YAANUWN, or entity of Nun. The meaning is essentially old great cosmic fish or source of all creation. Conclusion for your presentation. You can confidently state the name YAANUWN is not a canonical Islamic angel. However, it is a brilliant example of this leader's syncretic method. He took a core concept from Islamic cosmology, the Nun, the great fish that supports the world, mentioned in Quranic commentary, and transformed it into an invocatory spirit by adding the Arabic vocative Yah. He effectively created a new deity or angel by personifying a deep metaphysical symbol. This allowed him to claim access to the most fundamental creative forces of the universe, framing it as a secret Islamic mystery to empower his own theology. This analysis shows a move beyond simple name borrowing into the creative engineering of core mystical concepts to build a new authoritative belief system. Tar's question: Can you tie this into Noone in Hebrew and Leviathan in Jewish mystical circles about Leviathan being divine and primordial as well as an ancient fish-like monster? Deep Seek responds, absolutely. This is the crucial connection that ties the entire investigation together. The leader's reference to YAANUWN, O fish, is a direct bridge linking Islamic, Jewish, and primordial Near Eastern mythology, creating a powerful syncretic symbol. Let's connect Noone, the Leviathan, and the cosmic fish. Noone, in Hebrew mysticism, the letter Noone in the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Noone is associated with faithfulness, soul, neshama, and emergence. A central Kabbalistic text, the Sefer Yetzirah, links it to the astrological sign of Scorpio, the bent and final Noone. The standard Noone is bent, symbolizing the humble, faithful servant. The final Noone is straight and elongated, symbolizing the revealed truth and the Messiah. This shows the letter itself contains a concept of hidden potential becoming manifest. Joshua, the son of Nun in the Torah, Joshua's father is named Nun, symbolizing that Joshua, the leader who enters the promised land, emerges from the concept of fish or faithfulness. However, the most critical link is cosmological. Side note, following is a letter allegedly written by David Dwight York, aka David Dr. York. All right, this is a letter piece right here, which is going to show you what this all goes into. All right, listen to sound cosmic reasoning. Notice the corrupted Hindu six-pointed star properly called the Shatkona. All right, the Shatkona is a symbol used in Hindu yantra. A six-pointed star is made from two interlocking triangles. The upper stands for Shiva, Purusha, the lower for Shakti, Prakriti. Their union gives birth to Sanat Kumara, whose sacred number is 6. The Shatkona represent both the male and female form as a symbol of the divine union, a masculine and feminine, and as a source of all creation. More specifically, it is supposed to represent Purusha and Prakriti. Often this is represented as Shiva Shakti. It is often referenced that the Shatkona, the Satkona, Shatkona is the symbol of the Hindu deity known as Sanat Kumara. The Shatkona is a hexagram and is associated with the son of Shiva and Shakti. Kartikeya, stylistically, it is identical to the Jewish Star of David and the Japanese Kagome crest, Wikipedia. The first name is important because it reveals who is really controlling Mr. York and the pantheistic signs he was using. Let's read what the true Amunubi Rahkaptah Afroo Oonoo stated way back in 1967-68. Who were Esau and Jacob's 12 sons? Esau was the Phoenician people who represented the sun god Elyon, also called Zeus and Jupiter. Jacob was the Jewish people represented the moon god Sin, also called Siva, and Hermes. Remember, all Greek and Roman gods were originally Phoenician Hindu gods. The Jews combined and united all those gods and called them Elohim. The good gods were considered Yah, and the evil gods were considered Wei, because the name Yahweh means good and evil. Yahweh is the same as Jehovah. Jehovah is the same as Shiva. Shiva is the same as Siva. Sin, Thoth, Hermes is the god that extracted the Caucasian from the Hindu. Listen to the reason. Caucasian got their colonizing and imperialistic nature from the Phoenician race. History shows that the ancient Phoenicians were notorious colonists, which is the same as imperialists. Caucasian got their discriminating and prejudiced nature from the East Indian race, and the Indian caste system is an example. Caucasians got their oppressive, suppressive, repressive, and murderous nature from the spirit dead, particularly ghost god. This writer likewise mentioned that Sin is an ancient name of the moon god in Babylonian history, and the name Sin stems from the Sino-Indian god Shiva, Siva from Java, Indonesia. The name Jehovah is a variant of the name Shiva in Java. Introduction to the Nature Book 2, number 190, page 139 in part. Side note, here's more support for Shiva, Tahuti Thoth's connection to Java Island in Indonesia and the Java man, aka the Phoenician race, who started out as an 8 type man. All right, so on the equator of Indonesia and Java Island, this is where the 6 ether 8 and 8 man came from. All right, so we're finna get into that a little bit. All right, and the place where they actually came from is Semeru. Semeru has a lake that runs from it, which is pretty much the same as Lake Victoria. Okay, this is where they came up at. All right, Semeru is the highest mountain on the Indonesian island of Java and an active volcano located East Java province in a subduction zone. This is how I found out by following a news lead when he found the plumes up under Lake Victoria. It's the same setup over here with Mount Semeru, all right, in the subduction zone, where the Indo-Australian plate subducts under the Eurasian plate. The name Semeru, look, is derived from Meru, meaning the central world, mountain in Hinduism. Look what it means. Or Semeru means what? The abode of gods, because this is where the pygmy gods and goddesses died and sunk at the bottom. This is where they went at. This stratovolcano is Mahameru, meaning the great mountain in Sanskrit. So here we see that Sanskrit is the language of who? The Hindus, all the way over here to Java Island. Okay, so this Afroo Oonoo told us where to go and look. And this is what we do. We went all the way to Indonesia, which is way far away from Asia, because they're not from there. This is why this information is being put forth. Okay, they're not from Asia. They migrated there by following us, our ancestors our ancestors as they swam from place to place, and they ran into the aquatic ape, and that ape type man also followed us from place to place, and that's how they ended up in these other lands. But originally, they started out right here on Java Island, all right, near Mount Semeru. This is where the pygmy gods, male and female, sunk at the bottom of the ocean floor 18 million years ago and into the bowels of the planet and came back as other animals and human races. Following is a letter drawn, released by one of Mr. York's cult members. All right, so you can see that real good. I'll make it a little bit bigger, if y'all don't mind. All right, so this is what York typed up on the letter. Let my words be known to all. October the 5th, 2025. H.E. Dr. Malachi York, aka Dr. Isa Muhammad. All right, so back to that with their religion. I told y'all religion is a spell, and York is continuously using it. And this is what he's calling his cult members now: the Wahhabian, Islamic, Hebrews, Sabians. So this is the spell he keeps using, but we're going to deal with this symbol here and how it relates to what we're doing. All right, so we already know that this star goes back to the Hindu star, and it also goes back to Shiva, which is Tahuti. All right, so he's still stuck with the moon god because he's still got the crescent underneath it. So this is Tahuti showing you through his cronies that he's still keeping the spell going of the moon. And look what page is on Anoop 7. Tahuti's number.
Yep, that's his number.
Mm-hmm. What you see is a corrupted Hindu 6-pointed star called the Shakona symbol. All right. This version was where the Caucasian Jews changed the cross given to them by the moon god to this. Mr. York, following Kabbalah, and others who followed it, remixed the symbol to create a spell for Ethiopians in America and abroad. Take another look. All right, January 23rd, 2015, in our group, I said, ask the Wahhabians, why did York steal Madame Blavatsky, a known witch and black magic worker, 6-pointed star symbol, and use it as his own? All right, this is the symbol that she has for her order, the Society of Theosophany, something like that. But look what there's no religion higher than truth. And York used the same thing. Truth is truth. but really it's facts. But this is the religious pantheistic mystery system. All right, and you know that they being slick by putting the Ankh in the middle. And Anoop broke down this on the Ankh originally was the Shin symbol, which represent the top half, and Noon, the circle, the original Ethiopian Ankh was a circle, and the O stand for order, and the T stand for termination. You see, so by them having this, they're showing you that this is locked into male and female, which is androgyny, and this serpent is Leviathan, and it has the symbol of so-called life, but we know that this is the life of death, which is 6 ether, but for them, it's 3 ether. That's a different conversation. Now, compare the next picture with Mr. York's version and then try to unsee the copying. So we can see that these are different symbols and things. I even put this image into the chat and had the chat break down these images, but that's for another time. But you can see that she had the symbols, got the Ankh over here, got the 6-pointed star and all of that. York got the same thing, except what he did was, instead of completing the lunar part under the star to make it go all the way around so the snake can put his tail in his mouth, he cut it off at the end so y'all won't be able to catch it. But he still maintained the symbol and all these other things he got going on, which is part of the spell. But this is because York and a lot of other our black so-called leaders, self-appointed or even government-backed, were followers of the Kabbalah. And I'm going to explain why they all followed these teachings. And when you examine the source materials, you'll see why they all was doing this. All right, so we seeing the copying. So now we look at it again. You can't say that York didn't know what he was doing. All right, so now we going into it, and when you ask York's slaves, ask them to show you this image anywhere in Kemet like this. Tell them to show you this anywhere in ancient Kemet. You're not gonna find it. The same way these dummies is walking around here with a double Ankh, and there's no such thing. Unless you're talking about the sulfur cross, that it's where the loop is upside down and they got a double bar and some other stuff that go with that. All right, so that's a whole nother conversation. But here you can see that York was following somebody else, mankind, while spellbinding his flock, because all of these images and symbols have power. It's not for show. All right, let's see what here. Listen, reason. Okay, so we're going to go back down here. This is the part I want to look at. This writer likewise mentioned that Sin is an ancient name of the moon god in Babylonian history, and the name Sin stands for Sino-Indian god Shiva Siva from Java, Indonesia. The name Jehovah is a variant of the name Shiva and Java. All right, so here, this is the book that should be out soon or is out to York's slaves. So you can see at the top it says the Sabian's Guidance for Better Living Culture Series, and he has the symbol that he done put on the cover. All right, with various images and drawing, and right underneath it, look, N-U-N, N.U.N. All right, so we already laid down that Nun goes back to a fish, which we know that Leviathan is called the great serpent or the great dragon in the Bible and other cultures. But we know that it was 6 ether sexual energy. But the fact is, York is maintaining his Kabbalistic blueprint. And it says what? The Nun, from look, primordial to eternal. Truth is truth. Then at the bottom, few are chosen. This is a religious term. They say many are called, but what? Few are chosen. That's the whole term. So York is still using religion and pantheism and also creating his own sigils. This double Ankh is York's sigil. This is his magic sigil that he done put on the foreheads of his dead-minded slaves. All right? They don't even realize what's happening to them. All right? All right, hold on for a second. 1 second. Let me see something. What y'all think about that so far? I'm just trying to bring something else up. What y'all think about that so far?
Very deep. I mean, it just bring into fruition all the symbolism from another from another viewpoint of magic that he put into his books, copying Madame Blavatsky and the society she was with, the Theosophical Society.
Yeah, that's what the name of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Theosophical. So yeah, this is mind-boggling, and hopefully it'll snap them out of the spell that they under. That's all I wanted to add.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, I'm back. I had to straighten something else up. All right. So here we go. Now, remember, we just read where it said sin stems from the Sino-Indian god Shiva, right? All the way to Siva from Java Island, right? So check this out. All right. Shiva, Tahuti in Indonesia, is called Batara Guru, the supreme god of Java Island. So this is Shiva here in India, but this is Shiva Tahuti's form in Java Island, which is the drawing to the left. As you see, it's the same amount of arms. It's multiple arms. Same pose. All right. And you see Shiva got the trident, which is 3, represent 3 south and 3 ether. And in this bottom picture, you see this triangle with 3 ends to it. All right. They put things in symbolism, but you got to be able to see it. All right. Batara Guru, another name associated with Shiva and Shakti and Prakriti is Sanat Kumara. Now remember, we just looked at that. Okay, we finna see it right down here. All right. Every person, place, and thing existing right now at the time of his writings are at rock bottom of existence, which is 0.3 south on the smack circle of order. The lineage and evolution of the reason energy, Zeus, can be traced down and through evolution as the gods Ta, Sanat Kumara, Uranus, Zeus, Ra, Jupiter, Hermes, Mercury, Thoth, and Pan, and other descendant evolutionary names of pantheism and mythology for these forces and powers of nature are the center reason Inco Introduction to Nature, book 2, number 80. Let's get more information on Sanat Kumara, because he mentions Sanat Kumara right here in the definition of the Shakona symbol. So I realized, I remember Afroo Oonoo spoke about this. So I did some more digging. This is Lord Sanat Kumara. Lord Sanat Kumara is an advanced being at the 9th level initiation, which we know, like Anu said, whenever 9 is associated with them, it's really 3, 3, and 3. All right? Who is regarded as the Lord of Reason. This is another form of Tahuti. All right? the Lord of region of earth and of humanity, and is thought to be the head of the spiritual hierarchy of earth, who dwells in Shambhala, also known as the city of Enoch. Ascended master teaching. See, York used the same thing. They all call themselves master teachers, but York didn't want to use the term ascended because ascended is in the New Age, which falls under Madame Blavatsky now. All right, all of this is part of the games that they like to play. All right, just making sure everybody's still here with me. Okay, there, Newt, he's still here. Okay. All right,
yeah,
Mr. York.
My laptop will probably die, so I'm gonna have to switch over to my phone. But yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, Mr. York wrote a book entitled Shambhala and Agartha. These are what's called New Age teachings starting in the 60s and 70s, in which Mr. York and many other cults began merging UFOism and extended master teachers and teachings to their followers with religion. This is another false form of Tahuti. So again, they started doing this because noon was coming. That's when all this stuff in the 60s and the 70s is when the Raelian sect and all these different guys started popping up, cult leaders, and started talking about not Jesus wasn't black now. Now Jesus was an extraterrestrial and came from another place. This is the stuff that the three ether ghost was doing to buy more time for their religious people. All right. So here you see Shambhala and Agartha. All right. This is a book that York put out in the 90s. So here it connects that really you're talking about Sanat Kumara. Even though Sanat Kumara is an ancient pantheistic name, they just revitalized it and gave Tahuti gave him a what you call when they do
a makeover.
Yeah,
a makeover.
Makeover, and then brought him up to date in the 60s and the 70s, and now you got people running around here talking about Ashtar Command and the Palladians and stuff. This is how they reinvent themselves for the cycle and season as in. All right, so you see Shambhala and Agartha, all of that. So all this stuff is not new, but because once we come in contact with this ignorance, we just end up stuck every single time. All right. So although I was already working on this 2 weeks ago, the Savings dropped this book that should be out already or soon be coming out. Let us observe the title. All right. So here, I'm bringing back the book again. So we're looking at the images and all of that and the title. The words to remember in the following conversation are the words none, primordial to eternal. All right, so we're going to listen out for those words, especially none and primordial. This is going to help you out in a lot. All right, let me see what's going on. All right, Toss question to Deep Sea. Can you find this name YAANUWN, the Islamic Mystery Deep Sea? Okay, so Deep Sea responds. All right, so let's go over here. We're going to go past this. All right, hold on. Okay, here we go. No. Okay, Deep Sea. Okay, I want the two different chats. All right. Okay, here we go. Toss question, Deep Sea. Can you tie this into Noone in Hebrew and Leviathan and Jewish mystical? So I asked it the same thing. All right, so it gave me the same thing here. It gave me the bent fish. Oh, let me get down here. However, the Leviathan and Jewish mysticism. Leviathan is far more than a monster. It is a primordial and divine creature. So now we're finna get into some real interesting things of how the Jewish writings looks at Leviathan. They think Leviathan is divine. The primordial chaos monster in Psalms 74:13-14 in the book of Job, God battles and subdues the Leviathan at the dawn of creation. It represents the chaotic waters to whom that God brings into order. So here you can tell this is opposite of what NoopooH does in the beginning. So NoopooH comes out of the order, out of the chaos, and put the chaotic matter into order. Here they're saying this Leviathan, that's not true, right? It's all the matter that will be used in the beginning, even though Leviathan is in the beginning with the sons. But this is showing you how it's in reverse according to their writings. All right. The cosmic feast of the righteous. A famous tradition in the Talmud, the Bava Batra 74b states that in the end of days, God will slay the Leviathan and make a gigantic feast for the righteous from its flesh. Its skin will be used to make the tent for the feast. This symbolized the ultimate triumph of order over chaos and the divine reward. Now, the Kabbalistic symbolism, the cosmic cycle. In the Zohar and later Kabbalah, the Leviathan symbolism deepens. It is sometimes identified with the primordial serpent, look, from the Garden of Eden, representing the Sitra Akra, the other side of look, or force of impurity. So now they're saying that not only is Leviathan divine, they now saying it also represents what they call the Sitra Akra, meaning the force of impurity. So now we know it's lining up with what Noone states, that Leviathan is a what? A sex force, a giant sex force. All right, so remember this. Listen to reason. We already know that Leviathan is the god of lies and deception, and it has tricked nations of people and controlled them for many millions of years. Noone states this well. The fact that Mr. York is still leaking Leviathan symbols and logo spells via these letters has proven he is not separated from this serpent. Deep Sea continues. More profoundly, it represents the primordial, undifferentiated light of creation that was too powerful to be contained in the vessels. So this right here, it said these vessels shattered. What you're seeing is actually they're saying in Noone, this is when Leviathan came forth at 6 west and exploded into the universes. This is what this is actually mean. But in their mystery system, they saying that Leviathan exploded, right? And said these vessels shattered, called the Shivarat Hakilim. And the Leviathan is the look, consciousness of that first broken world, right? Its ultimate slaying and consumption represents the tikkun, repair of that brokenness, where the holy sparks within it are redeemed and elevated. All right. It is the ultimate symbol of God's power, both the raw, untamable force of creation and the divine authority that can harness it. Excuse me. Can I get a water, please? Thank you. Side note. So here it says Leviathan in the Jewish text broke the vessels and has holy elements within it that must be repaired. Only Noopooh can repair and resurrect all space, matter, and time. More proof, York is still praising his sex force through his letters and certain words he is using. All right. So this right here is giving me a summary. Islamic Noone, cosmic fish. Hebrew Noone is the fish. Jewish Leviathan is the primordial fish serpent. Remember, primordial. York put the word primordial on the front of the cover of the book. And we all know primordial means before there's order. So that's chaos. So why is he talking about chaos on the front cover of his book? Look, by creating the invocatory name, YAANUWN, he was not just saying, oh fish, he was invoking, oh primordial one, oh great cosmic force, which we know is the sex force that underlies reality. Oh Leviathan, the source of both chaos and divine light. All right? He was personifying the most ancient and powerful symbol of creation itself, the chaotic waters, the unspeakable power of God that exists before form into a spirit that could be called upon in his system. Side note, Mr. York wrote books on Leviathan, but failed to inform them on what he was really doing as it pertained to his possession by it through oversex activities in the early days of his cult, the Ansar Allah community, and after. Remember, it was sex that got him noticed by the police through a victim that started his arrest. So these are some of York books on Leviathan. And notice if you read the book, he does not talk of Leviathan in the primordial state. What he does is focus on the monetary value, religion, and some of these nations on these foreheads, which we already explained if you go back in some of the videos that we started doing on our live. Go in the live section, we was going through, I think the videos I was doing on the 144,000. I changed the names so you could get more clarity. But in those videos, I went into what all this is. This is the 7-headed beast is what's the name of that? The organization. I'm trying to remember because the
Talking about bricks?
yeah, bricks is the horns, but the G7, that's what these are. The 7-headed faces on these books or in Revelation is describing the G7, and the crowns and 10 horns and 11 crowns is the BRICS nations. All right, so that's what this really is. York had no idea who these individuals was. All right, because he was using religion and trying to do it, but really it's BRICS and the G7. All right, which you would not find that in this books. He's not going to tell you that because it would expose who he was working for. All right, these are the other books he put out when he went to jail. They released these books. All right, again, same old faces on these covers that York had on these back in the 90s, and I think this Leviathan book to the left, the far right, was in the Ansar days or the Nubian Islamic Hebrew days in the late 70s, early 80s. So here he got the same faces up here on here, which means that he had no new information to tell y'all about this. All right. Once again, I repeat, the 7-headed, 10 crowns and 10 horns is G7 nations and BRIC nations. All right. Gematria also shows his connection to Leviathan spelled in Arabic, a language York spoke. So we got Malachi Z York equals 65. YAANUWN, which is the Arabic way to say Leviathan, is 56. All right, which is in reverse. All right, I think York was in his 50s when he went to jail. Let me see, how old was York when he went to jail? Let me see real quick. Where is he went in 2002. York was 57 and went to jail. Look at that. Leviathan, 56. So you can all see this. We know how gematria works. You don't have to be exact. It can be in reverse. All right. So we know that York is definitely possessed by Leviathan. Conclusion for your presentation. You can now present this powerful sentence. The Noone Canon is the master key to the leader's syncretic system. He fused the Islamic cosmological nun, the fish holding up the world, with the Hebrew meaning of nun as fish, and most importantly, the Jewish mystic figure of the Leviathan. In Kabbalah, the Leviathan is not merely a monster, it is a primordial divine force, the consciousness of the first shattered creation. By invoking YAANUWN, the leader was claiming access to this raw foundational power of God. He was not just teaching about angels, he was teaching his followers how to invoke the very force of creation and chaos, positioning himself as the guy who could tame this Leviathan-like power. This elevates his system from a simple list of angels to a Gnostic mystery tradition claiming control over the building blocks of reality. This transforms the list of angels from a simple catalog into a coherent, albeit invented cosmological system aimed at harnessing ultimate power. Charles questioned the deep sea. Is there any sexual connection to this aspect, being David Dwight York, Dr. Malachi York, is the jail cult leader we were speaking of, went to prison for sex crime against men, women, and children using Kabbalah and his teachings. This is a critical and deeply disturbing aspect of the case that requires careful, sensitive handling. The connection between the spiritual symbolism we've discussed and the sexual crimes committed by Dwight York. Malachi York is not one of doctrinal necessity, but one of manipulative methodology. Yes, there are clear and documented connections between York's invented cosmology, including the Nun/Leviathan symbolism and the sexual abuse he perpetrated, how these things were weaponized. The manipulation of divine androgyny and primordial unity. In authentic Kabbalah, a core concept is the reunification of the masculine and feminine aspects of the divine, often symbolized by the Holy One, blessed be he, and the Shekinah. This is profoundly metaphysical and spiritual concept. How York corrupted it. York twisted this idea into a literal physical mandate for sexual ritual. He taught that the path to spiritual enlightenment and power required the physical reunification of male and female, principle through sexual acts. This provides a divine justification for his demand for sexual access to his followers, framing abuse as a sacred duty necessary for cosmic balance. The seed as a source of power. Kabbalistic and other esoteric traditions sometimes use seed metaphorically to represent the point of divine emanation or spiritual potential. How York corrupted it. York literalized this concept, teaching that his own semen was powerful, alchemical substance containing divine light or shefa, divine influx. I didn't tell Deep Seek this. This Deep Seek is doing his own research saying this. All right. He claimed that receiving his seed was a form of spiritual transmission or initiation that would elevate his followers. This was a direct theological justification for the rape of both adults and children, positioning him not as a predator, but as a divine benefactor bestowing spiritual grace. All right, this is a post that Queeple did back in March 19, 2017. And it says, from a previous post done by Nunn, he gave a great breakdown of the Makfuzet and how it is a sex ritual dealing with the drinking of semen. Then it goes into the open mouth ceremony, monoatomic gold, etc. So in the Wapian decided to make a golden milk recipe. This is sick. It's one thing to make a healthy drink, but it's another to name it after a sex ritual which deals with drinking semen. What is wrong with you Nawapians? All right, so this is what he came up with. He took what Yorkman was talking about, the Makfuzet, and then tried to make it into some type of health tonic. They call it golden milk because it goes in synonymous with the sex ritual with adults with little kids called the golden child ritual, which we talked about this at length in the group and have videos on it. So this is also a pedophile cult. All right, we're showing y'all the rituals. This is coming from the Wapians that was in our group that was trying to debate and justify these things. And the fact that they're still in that building and nobody has done anything about these people living in Brooklyn, walking around with this in their doctrine. And this is why York switches the doctrine up over periods of time so people can get lost in 1,000 books they put out. But when you go back into the time, you'll see that certain groups of people in York's camp were doing these things because he was writing his stuff in a certain kind of way. Look, golden milk, turmeric, ginger, fixing stomach issues, coconut oil, honey or sweetening, and all this stuff. So we finna get deeper, all right? So we keep going. So I come into the post at 11 minutes and 46 seconds forward. Ponderbar calls man's sperm white wine and female's blood cells red wine. So it should be clear that Makfuzet is definitely sexually orientated dealing with York. It's safe to say York is trying to tell his followers to engage in sex with psychedelic mushrooms and homosexual acts under the new term hermaphrodite hormone sexuals. Let this be known. This is October the 29th, 2015. All right. Then I came back again. It's obvious York is discussing drinking semen in disguise to become one with the Natharu, as he calls them. This falls in line with the God-man fertility cult, which York incorporated to his teachings in different little secret orders on Tamaray. Remember, I played the video where York said that the Amun-Ra cult with the God-man was a homosexual cult, that the Pharaoh would have anal sex with the priest in order for them to become divine. This is out of York's class, which we played this a couple videos ago. So this is where York is still funneling these homosexual mixed with other things to make them think that what they're doing is not homosexual. All right. We've been telling y'all this. All right. This is the video that I was talking about that you can go online and type in Patarak Makfuzet, and you go to number 11 and 46, where York is talking about the sperm. All right, because this is how slick he is and how he got them teaching them this same sexual stuff he was doing on the land in that Black Pyramid. All right, this video is about 20 minutes long. All right, they put this out in 2012. All right, continuing. The Leviathan and primordial chaos as a license for transgression. As we established, the Leviathan represents untamed primordial power and chaos before it is brought under divine order. How York corrupted it. York's system, which invoked the chaotic pre-legal force, YAANUWN, could be interpreted as existing beyond conventional morality by connecting his followers to this primordial state. He could argue that the laws of man, including age of consent and incest taboos, did not apply to that divine work. In other words, what York was doing by claiming he was before man was even brought up, he can say that that's why he said he was not subject to the laws that human beings were following, because he was using the fact that Leviathan was before human beings. But Leviathan was not a sexual instrument in the beginning. That came when Zupu came in, and Leviathan came forth as a giant 6 ether tool. All right, but York is showing you that he's using the power of Leviathan in this name. All right, the goal was to access raw pre-creation power, which it can be done. All right, and this provided a pretext for violating societal and legal boundaries, including the sexual abuse of children, which he framed as a return to a pure pre-socialized state. All right. So this is how we deal with that. The pain and pleasure law maintained and also vows. Oh, hold on. I think that's it. Let me check real quick. I got you, Ken. I got you. All right. The pain and pleasure law. Absolute nature is the supreme system of balances. Therefore, pain must be offset, balanced by pleasure, and pleasure must be offset, balanced by pain. Hence, the more pain one endures, the greater will be his pleasure, or the greater has been his pleasure. And the more pleasure one enjoys, the greater will be his pain, or the greater has been his or her pain and suffering, in keeping with the purpose of pain and pleasure. The same way each time that conditions are the same and in accord with the nature of nature. Number 124, listen to reason. To apply the Kendra law of nature to the pain and pleasure, law means if a person experiences unnecessary pleasure, like excessive sex, drugs, or other excessive fun or folly, and the individual who experiences excessive or unneeded pleasure does not pay the penalty for it directly himself or herself, some of his kind, the same as kindred will eventually pay according to the laws of nature, because a member of a species, like a member of an ethnic race, is part of the whole. For the whole being that whole part of nature is every member of that species. Therefore, when a member or part of the whole does something positive or negative, it is a reflection on and related to the whole part, by the whole is responsible. Until definitely that transgression part is balanced off, either by the deviating or transgressive part suffering the consequence of his or her own act or fate, the laws of nature passing it on to the whole or another member or members thereof. So reader and listener, you should now see clearly that your activities and behavior, if negative, can cause your own kind, family, and racial kindred much misery and hardship if you are negative enough to practice wrongness intentionally or even unintentionally. The laws of nature are effective and binding on each and every individual in all species, all ethnic, race, of person, and things. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. All right. So here is a post I did was showing that York, a lot of York's kids. All right. It's a whole bunch of York kids. And he got over 200 kids. So that means York was having a whole lot of sex. There go Jacob York in the top right. And some other people y'all might know, but notice that none of these children are following what he set in order all this time, which is a waste. He had all these kids, and all of these kids, you can't even tell that they had a father that had some kind of knowledge. These are like regular, everyday black people, and all these ain't black. Some of these children are mankind. So York was breaking the race mixing laws as well. All right, it's not his children's fault, but he definitely knew better. All right, so I said, ask the Wabians, why is York promoting the use of monoatomic gold? Do they know that York calls it holy semen? Don't they know it increases sperm production? Our people suffer enough of too many kids and broken relationships to be worrying about sperm increasing. The Bible interpretation explanation books 1 and 2 speak about how Leviathan uses sex and drugs as weapons against our race, especially. York being arrested for lack of controlling his sex and fathering 200 kids he has and doesn't take care of all of his manifestation of Leviathan. Let's read the BIAE. All right. So here it talks about this Nawabian is quoting from the Master's Secrets, right? Look what he said. Nabat gold as sacred ash and gold dust is called by many names. This is why coming out of York book, the Master's Secret series number 3. Sacred ash, alchemical chemical cakes, metallic bread, monoatomic gold, white powder of gold, high spin gold, philosopher's stone, exotic matter, fruit of the tree of life, the electric versus powder, red stone, celestial, ruby, ME stone, the ormes, orbital rearranged monoatomic elements, food of the gods. Look, holy semen, Inbu, good gold, Anpu, elixir of life, holy blood. And remember, semen is considered blood. Sacred sperm, look, sacred sperm. Manan Shalil, Najaru, gold dust. Look, Matfuzak, liquid gold, which I told you, this is what Yorkman was doing. This is what this guy was saying up here when he made that that sperm health drink that Queeper was laughing at. See? Golden milk is that elixir. See? Matfuzak. So this guy here is making sperm mixed with milk, turmeric, ginger, coconut oil, and honey, maple syrup, molasses. Come on, this is the sickness that York produced, courtesy of Leviathan. See? All right. Tar asked ChatGPT this question. What can you tell me about this symbol? All right, so now this is the symbol that his slaves are using a whole lot. And it's called, it says trust in YAANUWN. All right, so we're gonna go a little further. ChatGPT responds, I describe what I see here symbolically and structurally, and then connect it to the lineage you are likely referring to, but without inserting outside interpretation that don't belong the image displays. All right, so you got Wusabat, trust in YAANUWN, symbol breakdown, symbol center emblem. A circle inside the design, typically representing orb, sun, central intelligence, an inverted triangle, a symbol traditionally associated with receptivity, channeling, or descent into matter. All right, this is very important, this part right here, descent into matter. In the Kabbalah, the descent of energy into matter is explained through the concept of emanation and a process called tism, contraction. To create a finite world, the infinite, boundless God, Ein Sof, had to contract its infinite light, creating a void or empty space. This self-limitation allowed for existence of a reality separated from the divine, with matter being a form of this divine energy that has been veiled, condensed, and frozen to allow for existence in a tangible form. This process, seen as a deliberate act of creation and matter, is ultimately understood as energy that has been temporarily bound and patterned. The process of emanation. Emanation, not creation. Kabbalah refers to speak of creation as a process of emanation, where the universe emanates from God in a descending series of manifestation known as the Sephirah. Once again, in Noon, it says that Nupu is the first emanation of the one supreme being, the best mind of the one supreme being. So you can see that they have different pieces of Noon throughout the ages that they got out of Kemet and reconstructed it in order to fit their 333 mind. All right, so here you can see in the background of the Kabbalah Sephiroth tree, you can see the goat of Mendes or the Baphomet or the goat head of Tahuti is in the back of these orbs or these spheres that cross. All right. Notice the Baphomet moon god Tahuti's Masonic image in the background of the Sephiroth tree. Charles responds, this is true because Mr. York says his books were sent down to his followers. We know that going down in Noon is descending reasoning and downward trend. So when you look at the bottom of his books, they have sent down for you, the Wapians. Okay? So we starting to see the tomfoolery that's manifesting itself. The chat continues. A six-pointed star-like cross under the triangle formed by three crossing lines suggests axis, direction, projection, stabilization. The emblem is set inside a green seal with the design in gold. This is structural, not decorative, built from geometric intention, not random style. Taurus-spawn, this is a symbol used by jail cult leader Dwight David York, possibly from Sumerian or Akkadian corrupted form. What this symbol is known in York circle as Wu Sabat or something spelled, sometimes called spelled Wu Sabat or Wasabat. York claimed it meant trusting YAANUWN, the elders of the universe. However, this did not come from Sumerian, Akkadian, or any documented Near Eastern corpus. The structure and meaning York assigned cannot be traced to any existing ancient inscription, seal, or tablet. It is a constructed, manufactured sigil created during his Ansar Nawabi and Massey phases in the early 90s, early 2000s. Where the components of the symbol actually come from. Although presented as ancient, the symbol is primarily a synthesis of three sources York regularly borrowed from. The inverted triangle. York used the inverted triangle as a symbol of descent of light into matter, a reinterpretation of the alchemical water symbol borrowed from Western esoteric Freemasonry, not Summa. Side note, water is symbolic of Leviathan, earth, fire, and air. The reader will understand these books better if he or she remembers Leviathan is the sun god, earth god, and moon god for mankind. All straight-haired people. Leviathan can manifest itself as the sun, fire. God at one time the earth, right, a solid. And God at another time is the moon, which is like air, right? God at still another time it can manifest as a combination of two or all three at the same time by interpretation and explanation. So when you look at it, you got water, air, fire, and earth. And Leviathan is a part of the earth god, but it also can manifest as the sun god and the water god, which is a water god, and air, which is ether. All right. So then over here to the right, you can see that this is nothing but elements that have been crisscrossed. And this is where you get the transgenderism or the mixing of these elements to create different mutations of itself. All right. Leviathan is also able to utilize the elements and powers to continue. Hell on the king of hell going on earth. Mr. York constantly used symbols of Leviathan to his followers who never understood what Leviathan really does. And this is on York's book, El's Holy Torah. It's the same star. All right, and he got what they call the Hua symbol or the Yahuwah or the Yahoo symbol, as in Netanyahu. All right, so we got the Shivas. This is the moon god symbol, Hindu style, with his name in here as Hua for short. But we know that this is Tahuti. All right, the central circle. This comes from the Hermetic planetary diagrams. The solar point inside the triangle also resembles the Golden Dawn ritual sigils. So when I turned it upside down, this is the Golden Dawn symbol that Mr. Crowley was using. See, York was a master of perverting and just recreating things off of somebody else's stuff. And see, this symbol goes back to 1888. So York just started using this in the 90s, especially in the 2000s, rather. So this is showing you that nothing he does is original, and he's a Kabbalist. He's using Jewish mysticism on his own people. Because Sabians will never be able to tell you where this symbol come from. It won't find it in Sumer, nowhere. You can see yours copying of Aleister Crowley's symbol, the six-pointed star radiating staff base. This is a modified Chi Rho Rosicrucian cross-like diagram, not Akkadian, Sumerian, or Egyptian. It appears nowhere in the cuneiform shapings or glyph tradition. This configuration does not match any Mesopotamian, Coptic, Kemetic, Hebrew, or Moorish seal tradition. It even went to the Moors. It is synthetic symbolic engineering. So put together, what did he build? Inverted triangle, alchemy, golden dawn, water, matter, descent, elders descending to earth, circle inside a triangle, Rosicrucian solar glyph, divine spark inside the form, YAANUWN inside chosen people, 6-ray base cross, golden dawn manifestation sigil, 3D projection into matter, order, unity, authority. This is why the symbol has a clean geometric grammar, but not traceable ancient counterpart. It is Western esotericism repackaged as Sumerian. And this is what York was doing. The one on the right was they did that when he got locked up. They started photoshopping these pictures. But you're not going to find this nowhere in the ancient world. These are sigils. Anybody can make a sigil, a magic sigil. So what he was doing was putting his magic, what he learned from the Kabbalah through masked other orders, and he put it on his followers. That's why they still using this, because back in the day they wasn't going so hard with it. This symbol has been popularized in the last couple of years. Tom's question in the chat GPT. I want to know if York's symbol is connected to Jewish writings in any way, speech, metaphor, etc. The short answer is yes. York's symbol has a connection to Jewish mystical writings, but only indirectly to later Western occult. There's no original Sumerian lineage. The symbol is a rearranged form of Kabbalistic, Hermetic geometry taken from the Golden Dawn and the OTO, both of which were built in the Luranic Kabbalah, Sefer Yetzirah, and the Zoharic cosmology. So the connection is real, but not ancient. It is 19th, 20th century Kabbalah magic, not where the connection actually comes from. Zohar, Tehum, the deep and Leviathan cord in the waters. The inverted triangle equals waters of the deep. Tehum, what part is Jewish in origin? Only symbolic meaning, not the shape. Inverted triangle equals the womb, Binah. Circle is the first point of light, Yod. This is straight out of Zoharic cosmology. In the womb of the great sea, the point of light began to expand. Zohar 1:15a. And understanding Binah is the place in which the formless light takes form. Zohar 2:121b. So the concepts are Kabbalistic. The symbol drawing is from the Golden Dawn. Where the sexual layer comes in, the part you're focused on in the Kabbalah is the chakma. The male seed enters. Then a female womb receives and shapes reality. This is described erotically in the Zohar. The father, mother embracing the hidden abyss to generate the world. The Zohar 3:298. This erotic creative union imagery is the basis of, look, Leviathan serpent sexuality symbolism in Jewish mysticism. York adopted this sexual creation model but applied it literally to biological and social gender instead of cosmology. Tar responds, now that we know Mr. York once again was pulling from the Zohar writings, cite Zohar passages that use Tannin Leviathan imagery as a erotic nuptial symbolism. Let me see, because I know I stopped. Okay, I still got it. Okay, I still got a little bit more to go. All right, hold on. Somebody just came back in. All right, hold on. All right, we almost done with this. All right, this erotic creative imagery is the base of Leviathan. Okay, York adopted this. Okay, so here's the passages I said. Now that we know that Mr. York once again was pulling from the Zohar writings, right? If y'all want to find more on where in the Kabbalah York was using, this is one of the books. It's called the Zohar. These are the passages. Zohar 147a through 4a through 147a to 47b says the two Leviathans is male and female in union. The Aramaic key line. This is what it is in Aramaic if you can read it. Translation: there's no Leviathan without his mate. One is male and one is female. But the Holy One, blessed be He, separated them, their fullness and reunion reserved for the delight in the time to come. Meaning, the Zohar is repeating and mystically interpreting the Talmud's teaching. Now, in the Talmud, that the Leviathan was originally a male-female pair. Their union is a symbol of the perfected sexual union to be restored in the Messianic age. This is not about sea monsters. It is a code for the sexual Sephirah, Yesod, male, joining Shekinah, female, in a state of purity and wholeness. Side note, we see that their writings agree Leviathan is a raw, sexual, chaotic power that will become pure when the male unites with his female part in the Messianic age. One, this is a contradiction because they claim God separated them in the beginning, fearing that if they reproduce, would destroy the worlds. Then only to say they will unite in the end. How does that make sense? Won't they reproduce at the end? 20, the time of the Savior and all that has passed since February 5th, 1962, the ending of the moon cycle. Anything after that is false messiahs manufactured by evil groups and their governments. What does the Jewish writings I ever asked you about outside the Torah says about Leviathan and its origin? ChatGPT responds. Here's a summary of what Jewish tradition outside of the Torah, primarily rabbinic, midrashic, and Kabbalistic sources say about Leviathan, its origin, nature, symbolic role, and its place in eschatology. I'll also note points where opinions diverge. Key traditions about Leviathan: primordial creature and sea monster. Jewish legend places Leviathan among the great sea monsters, the Tannin, created on the 5th day of creation. This links it to the chaotic, watery deep, the primary element that God shapes early in the cosmos. Mr. York spoke about the Tannin in El's Holy Torah and in the Holy Tablets. So here on the left is El's Holy Torah. I screenshotted it. Page 11, you see it says, in the Elohim, Anunnaki procreated the Tannin. Remember, Elohim is a word that the Jews created. So the fact that York was using Elohim is spellbinding you, and Elohim is the good and the bad gods, and Tannin is also considered a pre-god before those gods. But the fact that York got these together should make you think. And then over here in the Holy Tablets in the Garden of Eden, it said it was the Tannin dragon as a symbol of Tiamat. So York was very aware of these words he was choosing. Okay? The Holy Tablets is filled of words that don't even go in certain points. He'll be speaking in Arabic or a story about Muhammad, but he'll add Elohim, Elohim, which is Arabic and Aramaic, and then he'll put Kemet words in there. It have Greek words in there like Kurios and Lord. All these different names are 6 ether names. If you read the Bible interpretation, it gives you a list of 6 ether names. And York used a lot of those names. All right, this is out the book, the Holy Tablets, diagram 69, page 469, which is the Tanine, the dragon. Chat GPT continues. In some Midrashic texts, Leviathan had both male and female form. God supposedly killed the female to prevent overpopulation, which could threaten the world, reserving her flesh for the righteous in the Messianic age. Remember this right here, because they keep saying that the righteous is going to eat the flesh of Leviathan. Extremely filthy. The Zohar describes Leviathan in symbolic terms. For example, Leviathan is identified with the Yesod of Ze'el Anpin, its aspect of Gadlut, greatness. Leviathan and its mate, female counterpart, are connected to spiritual forces that are activated through the waters. Elaborations involve the interplay of southern wind, northern wind, judgment, and mercy. Remember, I showed you that York copied the androgyny 4 winds and made them into spaceships called the south, north, east, and west wind. Here, Leviathan is now connected to the southern wind and the northern wind, judgment and mercy. In the Zoharic allegory, Leviathan is called the master of all fishes and is sometimes equated with the righteous, Tzaddikim. This is another way to say Zodok, which is what York was doing. Okay, everybody there? Okay, I thought I heard something. The Messianic eschatology use ritual poetic references. In Pitium liturgical poems such as the academic, Leviathan appears in poetic imagination at the end of days. Leviathan is slain and there is a banquet for the righteous. In Talmud, there are references, for example, in the Bible Bacha, which you read about the female Leviathan. It's fate also in Avodah Zarah 3b, where God is said to play with Leviathan, a divine severity over his primal creature. So here it talks about their God playing with Leviathan. All right. The Avodah Zarah quote, during the third set of 3 hours, the Holy One, blessed be he, sits and sustains the entire world from the horns of wild oxen to the eggs of life during the fourth 3 hours. He sits and makes sport with the Leviathan. As it stated, there is Leviathan whom you have formed to sport with. Psalms 104:26. Evidently, God makes sport every day, not only on one day. Rav Nahum Bar Yitzhak says in explanation, he makes sport with his creations or play, just as he sports with the Leviathan. He does not make sport of his creation, but on that day alone. Why is there God playing with Leviathan as a sport? Listen to reason. You can see that the third set of 3 hours are 333 in Noone sign. Leviathan is looked at as a positive to the writers of these Jewish texts to the point of them eating the flesh of Leviathan's so-called female counterpart. And why is that moon god playing with this serpent? This only proves what Amunubi Rahkaptah said about Leviathan in 1967 and 68. Who was the serpent and how did it beguile Eve? The serpent was Leviathan, a giant sex force who was able to control peoples and nations by sex, by a spirit generated from blood and the waters of earth. Leviathan has many spirit members and parts distributed throughout the earth, was cast from the sun approximately 17,025,000 years ago, just before evolutionary cycle began. The moon cycle, look, is the climax of the evolutionary cycle. What? The serpent, Leviathan, is the moon god's sin. All right? Because the moon god is in his zone, or was. Leviathan gave the moon god the power that he needed. Remember, Leviathan is an enhancer force. So who and whatever it gets involved is going to take it to the limit. All right, the spirit forces Jesus, called Jesus, are male and female, but the female forces are the dominant. Jesus also called Esau and Leviathan in the Bible Interpretation Book for 2, number 91. Basically, the following was how Leviathan, who produces ghosts, keeps hell going by way of who? The Caucasian race. Leviathan is the boss or head of the spirits of the Caucasian race and mankind in general. And it commands the most powerful knowledge and orderly spirits of itself to Caucasians for the purpose of ruling and oppressing. Leviathan, on the other hand, commands the least powerful, most ignorant and disorderly spirits of itself to its captors for the purpose of submission, servitude, and informing their oppressor, because knowledge and order rule is ignorance and disorder. All right. Bible Interpretation Explanation Booklet 2, number 58 in part. 102. Sex must be channeled in the best interest of our race. There is a great power in sex, and there is a great power in the semen of the male when he shares that power with a female. That female is not for the best interest of his race, like the moon converts gas from the sun. The negative force, that she will convert much of that semen from the male to negative force, which help the enemy oppressor. Bible Interpretation Explanation Booklet 2, number 102 in part. All right, so here I'm gonna stop on this point because I think that's where I start taking it into another chapter, which we're gonna deal with that on the next one. So what do y'all have to say about this? And ended on number 36, which is a 9. Okay, where? Okay, I got you, Nebo. All right. So who want to go first? I can't hear you, Nebo. Not yet. Keep trying. Still can't hear you.
I'll hop in while he get his audio. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, it went in deeper with the symbolism and actually giving a whole lot of individuals more information about Leviathan, which is in the Bible. It's just that they don't know exactly what this particular symbol is in the Bible. They just refer to it as just being a serpent, but it's much more deeper than that. And they ain't never have been able to put their finger on it because they have been possessed by that serpent that has engulfed the whole world, got people running around going crazy. And then you got York using sigils, and I mean it's just it's just too much. And they're gonna have to get themselves out of this.
All right. What you got on it, Manu?
Yeah, my bad. My my reception was going in and out, but that was an excellent presentation. Really tore the head off of the organization. You know, all the information was definitely thorough. You know, tying in Leviathan to what York was doing. That was amazing. You know, even the fact that he calls on the cosmic force of Leviathan. You know what I'm saying? That was really good. But it also shows that a lot.
Yeah, repeat that again. You have went out. Yeah, go ahead. Repeat that again. You have went out, Ken.
Yeah, my phone. I don't know. I think it's because I'm outside. My phone keep going in and out.
We can hear you though. Go ahead.
Okay. No. What you call it? Worshiping Leviathan, the giant sex force. So yeah, that was an excellent presentation. I loved every moment of it. You know, a little bit, especially I couldn't really catch it too much because my reception was going in and out. My computer had died, so
Right.
you know, I apologize about that. But no, it was excellent.
You just have to get it on the replay. We got somebody named Abia Nathan in the.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I was
Or
just
maybe
saying
I can't hear y'all now.
we can hear you. But yeah, there's we have a visitor named Abia Nathan in the comments, and the thing is, you know, I'm assuming you are a Christian because I see a cross on your avatar. But the problem is that y'all don't understand your religion, as well as Islam and Judaism, are products of the mystery Kabbalah system. Okay, so Christians will definitely be understanding of what Leviathan really is. This is why I use the information you're giving, that the fact that y'all keep thinking that Lucifer is a small, compact force called a he, and all that stuff is why Christianity doesn't understand what the Kabbalah and the different mystery books that they have that some Christians are now finding out about. So we don't subscribe to the Bible or the Quran on face value. We know that those languages are loaded. We know that those religious books, just like other books, sometimes those terms are symbolical. Sometimes those terms are plural, and is given as a singular, just like halal. Halal means crescent. That's a symbol of Tahuti, because we know that Tahuti was the god that the Cain group, which is short for Caucasian, was given the mark, and given the cross was the actual mark that Cain was given. This is why Christians are running around today with the cross, which is a symbol of death, talking about his life. The fact that they kill Caesarian Ptolemy, falsely called Jesus Christ, and put it up and say it's a symbol of life, and that's a symbol of love. And that's all confusion. And because y'all don't understand anything about Leviathan or Lucifer or these spirit forces that have authored all of y'all's religions and created a whole bunch of hell on earth. And I find it funny that that a lot of Christians are so upset and talking about radical Islam and all the stuff they doing and trying to do, when all three religions are guilty of mass murder up to date. While people are crying about Palestinian Arabs getting took in Palestine, Arabs is over there in Africa killing Africans, and the Christians over here under different forms of killing people in America, and are doing all the kind of stuff. We can't forget Bill Gates is all these people claim to be religious, but look what Bill Gates is doing in the medical industry. Look at Dr. Fauci. All these people are religious, or they're following some kind of secret occult doctrine that justifies them depopulating the planet. And the point that I'm making, that none of y'all religions are healers of the world. Y'all religions are cancer mixed with AIDS and HIV to the 13,000 power. It's a scourge. No Christian in their right mind who knows history should be getting upset about what Israel is doing, because they was Israel before Israel was doing what they was doing. Y'all forgot about all of the murders and lands y'all was taking? Y'all Palestine the whole world. What are you talking about? And you still running around and y'all don't understand that y'all forget that karma exists. Okay, Christians getting killed in Nigeria. Okay, so how many people did the Catholic Church kill? Murdered millions. Y'all forgot the Queen that put money behind Christopher Columbus? That was religion. The Catholic Church is over here before the government was set up, and that's why they was allowed for people who was running from the government. They can go run down there to Mexico or run up in a Catholic church, and the government had no jurisdiction. You done seen the movies? Christianity is just as bad with the Catholic Church and touching kids and doing all this stuff. All this evil that's going on in America is being done on the watch of Christians. This is a Christian country, and look what has come under the of Christians. Lucifer, Halal, all those names, Seraphim, fiery serpents, all this can be applied to America and its many different heads of government. Y'all religion is exactly what it is. It speaks beautiful words, but what y'all do because of the power of Leviathan in it is why y'all running around. That symbol on your avatar is a symbol of death. You can put a scar there, you can put a weapon there. All that stuff represents dead. You got a dead man on the cross and you believe that that's life. You mean to tell me somebody killed a son and want me to believe that that's love? That's showing you that your God and all the people that believe in that do not believe in accountability. That's what that means. Y'all, all of y'all doctrine is warped and sick. All right, so I think Anoop couldn't get back on, so we're gonna close this one out, and I'm gonna come right back with another one because this is a two-part thing. So yeah, I think that Mr. Nathan, or if it's a Mrs. or however you may identify yourself, I'm not sure. It's all in respect. I would suggest you go back and look in the live section of my videos where we expose everything, where we show you where your religion come from. Your religion is not original. It's not authentic. It was plenty crucified saviors before they took out Caesarion Ptolemy, called Jesus Christ falsely. There's nothing new. What you're saying is nothing new. All right? Y'all have nothing new that y'all brought to the world except more death. All right? So we'll be back on the next one. True Kind of Peace and Wartime. All right, let me try to find